Hello and welcome to the Inventive Marketing Club number 3. So this month we're going to be talking all about YouTube and getting more engagement from your YouTube channel, and I'm going to focus on the stats. But there might be lots of other questions from you guys. Now, before we move on, let's just make sure everyone can hear me. Can you give me a thumbs up or just put something in the chat, let me know you can hear me. And while you do that, we were going to be joined by Claire Harris. One of the cases we're going to talk about is from Selmac, and she also works for Selmac. But for some reason, her computer will not let her join. So she is up as one of the admins you might be able to see, but she won't be able to. You won't be able to see or hear her. So she's with us in spirit and in the chat room. So she'll try and join in that way. But luckily, I've got everything noted down here. Also, for some reason, my camera seems to be defaulting back to a sort of an off-color blue white balance. So you might see me do this occasionally to camera, just so it can get a good color. It can rebalance the white on itself. The oddities of technology, hey? Great. You can all hear me though, so that's brilliant. So I think you've all been here before. I mean, Karen, you haven't been to one of these, so hopefully you have a good time at this, and you certainly give me some feedback. I think I'm seeing you guys tomorrow, so let me know how it goes. Essentially, the whole point of this is we meet up online once a month, and we go through really a topic and dissect that in detail. And sometimes we have guests, but not this time. In fact, because we can't have Claire, Nikki, I don't suppose you'd be able to hop onto a mic at some point. Would that be possible to talk about how Eclipse uses video? Just let me know if that's the case. We can just get you on a mic, and you can join in for a few minutes if you want to do that. Just let me know. Right, so let's crack on. So again, I've learned my lessons, and I won't ask questions and expect answers straight away. I'm very good at doing that in person. So here are some pre-prepared questions, really, that I'm going to ask you guys. I want you to think about them and maybe put them into chat as we go along, as well as anything else you think about. I'm quite interested in what videos work for you from a business point of view, but also personally, what videos do you think resound well and can work quite well, and maybe there's some pointers we can take from that in our businesses. And how do you measure success? What is a successful video? It's different for different people. For example, our podcast that we put out, we've also started putting out on video. And I mean, there's not many viewers at the moment, so it's one of the cases we're going to be looking at. And for me, what is success out of that? You know, if I've got a few more people listening to it, well, that's brilliant. Maybe if a few more people are starting to listen to the podcast, then that's great. So anyway, let me know what you think your version of success is. Oh, Nikki, you say you'll try. Well, let's give it a go. Why not? What can go wrong? Just if you get yourself mic'd up and ready, I'll see if we can get you in later on when we're talking about I've got a case study about Eclipse as well, so we'll bring you in then. So first of all, I think let's get some context. Why use video? What is the point of using video? I mean, video is one of the easiest mediums to consume, really. It's something that is immediate. You can press play and you can start getting information or information or fun or whatever it is you're trying to get very quickly. Whereas something like text, you have to read it. There's some work to do before you get that information out of it. With an image, I mean, they're great and you can get that information instantly, but it can take, you can't really hold so much information in there. Claire's got a good point here, 7 seconds to get people to connect. So I think what you're talking about there is you've got 7 seconds to get your message across. So video is a very good way of doing that because you can get a lot of information across in 7 seconds. So it's definitely easier for people to watch. It's also, if you're certainly targeting a younger generation, that is where they're going to be native. They're going to be, their YouTube is to them is like BBC or ITV was to us when we were younger. So if you ever want to target people of a younger demographic, video is a way forward, whether that's quite a formal or well scripted and filmed video, or whether it's something more off the cuff, like this webinar, or maybe just a Facebook Live where you're just doing a selfie camera viewpoint. Oh, Claire's got a point here. Video makes it easier. We are instinctively lazy. Who wants to read when you can watch? Absolutely. I think video is a great medium. I love video. I watch a lot of it. Actually starting to get more into YouTube. There's a lot of fun, useful, and diverse information on YouTube that it doesn't come from conventional sources, but actually gives you a different viewpoint on things than through a filtered media or news network. Claire also adds, it takes the pressure off people and they can see it from their own homes. It's working 24/7. Yeah, absolutely. I think video, if it's done well, can be a great medium. For me, the only better medium or different medium is a podcast, and the reason that's better in many ways is because it can be used at different times. It's more convenient. You don't need to be watching something, you can be doing something else. I think the other benefit for search optimization, and it tends to be where we sit when we're helping people produce it or come up with the idea for it, is that it can be useful for search engine optimization. It can help a web page, if it's embedded on there, be found for a term that might be more difficult if it's just a regular web page. But actually producing a video, embedding it onto the page, you've got a high chance that the video is going to show for that particular term you want to optimize for. And if done right, you may even drag up the page so it's shown on the first page or so. So video is very, very useful for search engine optimization. Isabella, nice for you to join us. Great to have you here. So you've got a comment. Our customers do not have English as their first language, so video can be easier for them to follow. That's actually a good point. YouTube also has a great translation feature as well, and it allows you to put in your own translations for different languages. So it may be that you can produce the video in English, but there's a lot of visual cues for people to pick up on. But you can then also, if you have a mind to do it and maybe the budget to put towards it, translate that video as well if it's particularly important to you. A final point before we move on from Claire here, it has to be done well, otherwise it's a complete turn off. Very true, particularly the audio. Audio is incredibly important to get right because it's the first thing that people will be put off by when they're watching something. You can actually have quite a noisy, bad video, but if your mic is poor, you're not, you haven't set things up well, it can be a real turn off. Okay, so just on some YouTube stats, leading on from Claire's point there, actually, YouTube owns Google, so SEO is really important. I think a lot of you may know this already, but YouTube is the world's second largest search engine behind Google. Even Facebook isn't used in that way particularly. Facebook may be a good ecosystem, but actually YouTube is where a lot of people go to search directly on that. And because it's owned by Google, that search engine is directly embedded into Google itself. And that can be a real benefit from a search engine optimization point of view. If you want to get some content out there quickly, one of the best ways, if you want to get out on Google, is to put it on YouTube, because it will be indexed almost immediately and it will be available for people to find. So certainly consider that when you're putting any content out, even if you can't put out a full live motion video, maybe a series of slides is going to be helpful in getting something like that out. At the moment, it's got 63 million daily viewers. And if you were to put a value, an average value on a view, then it's works out around 3 pence. So that's the sort of value of a view at the moment. But obviously, that's going to vary depending on the video. Here's another couple of stats here as well, which is quite interesting. And you can see that YouTube is just behind Facebook in terms of monthly users. But if you combine that and think of it as a search engine, you've effectively got Google and lots of users on there, and YouTube. It adds up to a huge amount of huge pool of people, really. Okay, so I want to move on to the first case study, and this is where Claire would have joined us and given us a bit more insight into Selmac. But I will do my best. Claire, please add anything that I haven't said already. So when working with, just to give you some background, actually, I'll introduce Claire. She's not able to, but Claire works with a company in Hereford called Selmac, and they sell large machinery generally, anything from a pillar drill that you might see in a small engineering company through to a big laser or plasma cutter or water jet cutter that you might see in a more manufacturing environment. So a lot of big product, really, and you wouldn't think that it would be particularly exciting to show those on video, but actually it's worked out really well. Claire's been working with them sometimes, their marketing manager, sort of looking after all of that, but one of her niches as well, and particular interest, is in video. Claire's got a good background in video, doing a variety of story-based videos, sort of her own personal work, weddings, as well as more corporate-based video as well. So working with Selmac, actually, we were pushing them to do little bits of video, which was a bit daunting at first, but actually over a year or two, they got used to it. They were happier standing in front of the camera, and they found that it was actually drawing in some traffic. So this is the point we'll take this case study from. What Claire and I were looking at really is we wanted to reduce dropout. We were looking through the statistics, and we found that there were people just dropping out early on in the video. And I'll show you an example of that in a minute. But if you can imagine the timeline of the video running along like this, you've got about maybe 30% of people dropping out before they'd seen, before they'd really seen a lot of the video. And we thought, well, how can we reduce that? Is the video boring? Is there something that they're not interested in? So that's why they're dropping out. You know, they're watching a few seconds of the video and then disappearing off before they see the good stuff. So that's one thing we wanted to do. Claire particularly wanted to increase subscribers. That was one of her metrics for the year, was to get more subscribers, and I think the target was 1,000. You can tell me if that was wrong, which I think is good for their topic and niche. You know, they're not some young YouTube star or PewDiePie where they've got like 15 million subscribers or something like that. It's they wanted quite modest, but actually quite good to get people subscribing to the channel, because a subscription to channel shows that they feel it's like a vote for seeing that content on a regular basis. So it means the content's going to get shown more. Potentially going past that 1,000 subscriber barrier is going to open up new avenues for you. Maybe YouTube's going to give you more access to people. Certainly opens up certain monetization options. But just it's a nice vote. It just shows you're doing something that people feel is useful. Yeah, and Claire adds here that a subscriber shows genuine interest. And to get more goals. One of the things we found, let's see if that's on the next slide. Let's see if I can pop that on. No, it's not. I'll come to it in a second. One of the things they found that YouTube videos actually delivered goals as well. So if we just look at their social media, they found that people coming in via YouTube were to either visit the contact page, click on one of the telephone links, or generate an RFQ, a request for quote. And that were generally more than any of the other social engines. Even though YouTube brought in fewer visitors, actually people did, when they did click through, they did more with that. So let's have a look at the details. So here's the plan. So YouTube delivered most visits and often goals. I'll show you a chart of that in a minute. We reviewed the stats and we're looking to optimize the engagement, and we want to increase the subscribers, because if we can get subscribers, we can get more website visits and more goals coming through. And more goals means they've got more requested quotes and then potentially more sales off the back of that. So here's a look at the stats, just a little clip from the dashboard we produced for them. And this is just looking at the social media visits, social network traffic. And you can see here that YouTube is actually quite a big proportion. I actually can't remember the time, the date range this is over. I think it's something like over the last year, so the last 365 days. It has changed actually. If you look in the last 90 days, you've got slightly more visits from Facebook, but actually YouTube's still pretty much 50-50 in that sense. So here we're actually quite dominating by YouTube. LinkedIn's next, then Facebook, and then Twitter. So most visits by YouTube. So that's great. So the videos they were putting out, the videos that Claire was producing, was actually bringing traffic back into their website. So from my point of view, it's not just engagement. It's not just people watching the videos, which is great, but people are taking action. So here's a little look at one of the videos we just worked on a little bit and thought, well, I think this is actually one of the top videos that was viewed on here. And so we thought, well, let's take the top video and see if we can improve upon it, see if we can make an improvement on the dropout. So let's look at the first one here. This video is all about how to set up your press brake alignment tool correctly. It means nothing to me, but it's obviously very useful for a lot of people who've got a press brake and they want a little bit of help. So this is one of those areas in blogging or vlogging or any sort of videos that if you can put out a help topic, it's going to go broad and wide because a lot of people are searching for that. It may not get you a goal directly from that. It's not so focused, but it does get it shared. It does get, certainly in this case, the channel to get more traffic. So, and it builds trust, adds Claire. So what we've got here in the first one at the back, we can see that the audience retention, you see the graph is sliding down very sharply. It sort of dips from 100% straight down to 60%. And I've marked it at that 60% because something happened at that 60%. What Claire put in initially is like a little intro. It was just a static image of the machine. And that was for about 4 or 5 seconds. And so it was at that point that the retention started to improve a little bit. And so we found that when we watched the video, and YouTube's great for this because you can watch that timeline of retention in line with the video. So you can see at what point people drop off, or maybe you get more traffic because people are sending, traffic is coming directly into that time stamp point. But what we found is at 60%, that's when the video actually started. That's when the action started and we got someone talking. And so that was important. We thought, well, okay, what happens if we remove that title screen? Will we get people more into the action more quickly? So what we did, YouTube doesn't allow you to replace the video that you've already got up on there, and we didn't want to lose the stats that we already had. So what we did is just use YouTube's basic editing tools just to crop off the beginning of that particular video, just so the video started when the action started, when the video started, and we got rid of that title screen. And you can see in the second graph just down the bottom, the second one below, that actually we reduced it a little bit, and the retention went down or up, depending on how you look at it, to 70%. So rather than dropping from 100 to 60 in 24 seconds, it dropped from 100 to 70 in fewer seconds because we obviously nipped off that little bit of an intro. So we're still losing people, and in every video I look at, most people are lost quite quickly because people are flicking around. Sometimes they realize that video starts playing, it's not for them, and they'll flick on somewhere else. So that's quite common, but we managed to reduce that a little bit. So that's really nice to see. That's really nice to see. So the takeaway from this particular one is that we saw a high drop-off during that static title image. So anything at the beginning that is not giving value, where people can't see what they're going to get, that seemed to really make a huge difference. So this is just a view of the stats and the subscribers building up over time, over the lifetime of what we've got here. And you can see that the numbers at the bottom of the first graph that start 2, 5, 3, 3, 5, they're the number of videos that Claire was publishing at the time. And you can see really that not a lot happened to begin with. There was a lot of a lot of videos that Claire was putting up, but not a lot was happening. But over time, you could see the subscribers, which are these blue bars that are building. There are more subscribers being added over time until we hit a point around the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, where it sort of rose to a peak and sort of went back down again. And I think that was due to the momentum of videos being put onto the channel had slowed down. So over a period of time, actually, the subscribers slowed down a little bit as well. But then they started to pick up as Claire put more videos in. All right, Claire's added a comment here. When some of the videos got to 1,000 views, the traffic increased. Yeah, that was an interesting observation. There's different ways. I don't know if we've got another screen that shows this, actually. Yeah, I might show it on here. There's different ways YouTube, just in and of itself, can push video to push visitors to your video. So if we look at these traffic source types here, we've got suggested videos, YouTube search, and external. I'll leave the rest of them for the moment. Suggested videos are the area that are seen maybe on the right-hand side, or sometimes after a video has been played and it's ended and it goes on to the suggested or related videos. So those two areas on the sidebar and just underneath it, or once the video is finished playing, it goes on to others. Those are suggested videos. And it did seem that once we got over 1,000 views for some of those videos, then we started to see that skyrocket as YouTube started pushing those videos more. And it's really, I think, to get rid of the chaff, the low-lying videos that aren't very good quality. So it is important that if you can get and juice those views initially, you're going to get YouTube then feeding more views. It's going to feed more people to view them, and that's going to push more things up. You've got YouTube search underneath, so that was about 23%. So you've got people searching for that. So that's where people are taking an action to search for a particular issue, of which the CellMac videos come up. And then you've got external. So this is maybe where they're embedded. So this is likely coming from CellMac's own site and pages where they're embedding all that video. It could be from other sources. It's just some external traffic to YouTube. So let's go back to this other one here. So yeah, so it was quite interesting to see that momentum and getting enough subscribers on the videos coming up, but then it sort of dipped off a little bit, and I feel that's to do with the momentum of the videos because other things happened. They weren't producing so many videos, and then there was a rush of a few more, and they're able to push that back up again. So it's certainly it's an interesting experiment to be able to look at the stats that YouTube has in detail and just try and experiment. Just try and take one video and say, how can we improve that? How can we make that better? What can we do to make that a little bit nicer? Claire, do you have anything else to add to that? Yeah, so Claire mentions consistency. It helps to have consistency in uploading the films. So do you have like a regular upload date? Do you try and manage, have a target for so many a week or a month? And also, I'll add to that, what do you find is the best sort of video? Which videos resound best with your audience or your clients even? So while Claire's answering that, she said about 1 to 2 a month. Yeah, and the thing with videos is unless you're producing quite informal, rough videos with a bit of a light touch editing, then it can be quite costly in terms of time to get them together. I'll give you an example. A typical video, or the example that we saw from Selmac there, that involved getting the machine set up. So the machine's going to be set up clean. You've got to have an idea of what you're going to do. So it needs to be a nice, clear idea that's going to be useful to people. Plus, also, you need to get whoever's presenting to understand their lines. You don't want them to waffle. You want them to be straight to the point, really, and give useful information without going off on a tangent, which can be useful in a situation like this. But in a video that you can't control, you want it to go from one topic to the other. And if not, then you need to spend more time editing that quite tightly to bring it back down together. I certainly have found that the YouTube videos I prefer, and a lot of people prefer, are more tightly edited. So they're trying to remove gaps and space. Whether that's a good thing mentally or long-term for our health, I don't know. But generally, we prefer things that have pace and movement. So just going back to Claire's comments here. So a long interview-based and one short overview. So this is your tactic for uploading each month. You want a longer one and then a shorter one, which is more of an overview. Okay. Most popular film is bizarrely a simple machine. We have no idea why it's so popular, but it excelled our account. So it's good to try lots of different types of films. Yeah, certainly. I think you've tried lots of different ones, from just the demonstrations of machines, overviews, having people in there. You've had a few fun ones where you've used a water jet cutter to cut a laptop in half. It was a very old laptop, I might add. And you also had I think it was a press brake, crushing down some Guinness cans. And the nice thing about those is that they're quite fun. And while they won't necessarily generate sales, they will encourage views and maybe uplift the whole count in terms of getting more things found. She adds here, I find the knowledge-based films are more appreciated by customers. It builds trust, loyalty, and often gets us recommendations. Yes. And actually, now you've built a lot of this this video library, it's been very useful in other mediums as well. So they've been using these videos as part of an email series, each email focusing on different product type. And in some cases, the videos have been generated specifically for an email. So it's like an overview of a water jet cutter or a particular machine. Couple of things we did found is having a video is really important. So having a video in the masthead of the email means that people are more likely to open it, or sorry, not open it, but more likely to read it. But one of the main things is that video, the thumbnail shot, if it's got a person in it, we got more clicks, we got more engagement with that particular email. So it made a huge difference. And the knowledge base that Claire was talking about, that's really useful to give further information down the email. So maybe we're exploring this machine in a sort of overview sense and giving a general overview, but not that much detail into it. It's more of a sales overview, if anything. But further down the email, we've got knowledge base, so that can dive into specific areas. And they've been quite useful too. It's been quite good to see who is interested in those emails. And the effectiveness has been great. They've got a lot of calls and RFQs from those. So it just shows that producing a video can be used in lots of different ways. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so this was just an example to show there's lots of different screens in the YouTube stats. Lots of information available. It's a bit like Google Analytics. You can spend far too long on it. So really, it's good to have an objective. What do you want to do with your video? Do you want to pick a particular one? Do you want to increase engagement, subscribers, or use it for SEO? So just get more people viewing it and clicking through to your site. So this is the Eclipse case study. So I'm going to see if we can get you in here, Nikki, and see what happens. This is the first time I've done this, so forgive me if it all goes horribly wrong. I'm just going to turn on your mic, no camera. Let's see what happens. Right, looks like it's turned on, Nikki.
Hey.
Excellent. Hey, look at that. Would you?
Hi, I'm Nikki from Eclipse, and excuse me. And Eclipse, we install, supply, and design IP monitoring services, solutions rather, in the form of CCTV, access control, and IT monitoring services.
Excellent, thank you. Well, thanks for being my first
That's okay.
Well, I was going to talk about how you use video. I mean, there's lots of different ways that you're using video, and we might come to those. But I think it all started off really in many years ago, looking at video to improve search optimization, because we noted that video did do that for other companies. So we ran an experiment. Let's create a simple video and see if we can get that ranked more highly than the content. That was the experiment, and that's what we're still trying to do. So we'll talk about that one first, then we'll talk about what other videos you're doing now. So this was not, I don't think this was the first video actually, but this was one of the videos that seems to rank quite well. It's the experimental product at the moment. So we're using this as an experiment for lots of other things like AdWords and page ranking. So this is the NetBots 250, which is like a rack mountable sensor monitoring station. So you would either plug in different sensors like temperature, water, and humidity into that, or they can be wireless, so they can move plugged around the room. And then this all feeds back to a central console where you can get alerted of this or log that information over time. So it would be somewhere where you've got a company with a small data center or server room where they want to monitor that. So that's the particular device. And so what they produced was a video for the ABC NetBots 250. And it's done pretty well in terms of getting the video to the top of the page. I mean, it's generally, the video is shown on page 1. It's usually shown in the first position. And this is actually a good view of this page. This section here with these videos, with three video columns, that's called the 3-pack or video 3-pack. And if there are any related videos to a particular topic or category that people are searching for, so in this case, NetBots 250, then Google will, where possible, try and show the first 3 most relevant videos at the top of the page. So if you can be there, you're going to have a lot more visibility. Your video is going to get a lot more views than it would if it was just tucked down low, or maybe it's on just the YouTube page itself. We can also see they're running an ad for the same product using the Google Merchant system as well. So that's why I say it's our test one. Annoyingly, often that video will drag up the actual product page that it's embedded on as well, but not all the time. It varies. So sometimes it will make a huge difference and drag that right up on page 1, and sometimes it disappears off. So it is variable. However, that video is not. That video is fairly consistent in staying there. Here's what the video is. It's just a talkie video going through, explaining how it works, just giving people a little unboxing or overview of it, really. Quite simple. Not too long. I think it's quite interesting for people, but there's always room to improvement, but this is effectively it. What we do have importantly in this particular video is we make sure that we're also linking to the product in the first 2 lines of the description. A lot of people might link to the product or link to their blog or website somehow, but they'll link further down the description. So YouTube won't show that. It won't make it visible until people click to show more. So in this particular case, making sure that link is within the first 2 lines of the description it means it will be visible to people without them taking any further action. So that was really where we started in terms of SEO. What are you doing now in terms of other videos, Nikki? What have you found useful?
Well, as you know, historically we looked at the unboxing videos, and that was really useful. And we just find that getting as much useful, interesting information out there for our customers is the best way. We have found that the unboxing videos are really popular because people like to see people on the video. But there was also a case where there was quite a lot of unanswered questions that we had. So we thought that we'd do a few how-to videos. And that was from basics of how to maybe do a search on the Avigilon Control Centre and look at all of the searches, right through to introducing things that we've got, i.e. the CCTV buying guide. But really, it's important just for us to get the interesting information out there, and we're finding whether it's voice or person actually on the video, they like the personal touch. There's it's not, it's well received. So that's the kind of thing that we're doing at the moment, and we're just looking at various different strategies that go with our social media calendar, and then doing the videos when the unboxing comes in, when a new product comes on, or when there's anything that needs to go out. Really, that's how we're doing it at the moment. Trying to get across all of the parts of the business. So we're trying to do some CCTV as well as IT monitoring and access control. So we're trying to mix it up a little bit as well. And yeah, as Karen said, we're also doing the customer testimonials. So there's two really, really good testimonials that we've had recently, and we did the videos with Claire. And we've got them out as well on our YouTube site as well.
Yeah, they came out really well, and it's nice. You're trying to do a lot of it yourself, so that in doing that you can produce them quite regularly and have some pattern to them going out. Where do you think the sticking points are for you in terms of
well, as you know,
video?
it used to be quite a big sticking point because there was the fact that when we were doing the unboxing videos and the way that we used to do them, it used to take two of us within the company to do it. Now, actually, since you introduced me to Camtasia, we've been able to produce more videos. It's easier and it's less time consuming, I would say. Particularly because I can just get on with it anyway. But we've now got the tools to be able to get just a simple video out there. We still need a couple of us to do the unboxing videos, but that's not too much of a stress anymore because we're getting the other videos out there that are actually infilling, if you like. So it's not too much of a stress. So really, there isn't that many barriers out there now. It's great. I actually really enjoy doing them.
Yeah, it's good fun once you get into the rhythm.
Yeah, and we're trying to find different ways of doing things as well. So rather than just doing a screenshot on Camtasia, we've also got various different bits and pieces that can go in there. So you can do, put some wording on the screen, but not too much, just to point out, various different things of what you might be doing or what you're trying to show them.
That's great. No, what are you working on at the moment? What are you looking to do next?
I'm working on the NetBot software. So we're looking at simple ways of getting the information out there of how to check temperature, humidity, and that kind of thing. So it's really just to get the information out there about the APC NetBots and just help customers if we can. Not saying that at that level they probably won't need help if they're actually the IT directors or what have you, but anybody that's looking at the NetBots, just got one going out today, just about to do it this afternoon, and it literally just shows how to use the dashboard and how to find the temperature and change parameters and what have you. So it's just literally, we don't look at doing anything more than maybe, I'd say a minute 15 seconds is probably the maximum that I look at doing. But if I start to and ah on the video, then as far as I'm concerned, it's too long.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and I like those sort of videos because actually they can keep you coming back to your channel or keep you coming back to that video, because you need a reminder. You know, even there may be certain software I use which I don't use it a huge amount, so I need to actually just keep going back and just saying, what was that option again? Where was that option hidden? So actually having support videos like that, even for some customers who are technical or happier to deal with that technology, they will still forget things, or they'll still be lazy, and it's much easier for them to watch a video than try and trawl through a manual or blogs. So I think in terms of engagement, that can really encourage it. Just keep you on the line for the moment, because you've seen this. While this is not a video I'm going to show you, it's actually quite useful for helping generate videos. Oh, there's my color balance have gone again. Let me share my screen again. First, we're doing all first today, and see how this works. I don't know if everyone is familiar with this particular service called Answer the Public. I know a few of you will be. It's a really useful system for getting an idea of the questions that people are asking in Google. So let's take an example here. What should we search for? I will search for bookkeeping, because that was an example I used this morning. And so, and that's handy. Their server has broken. See the trials and tribulations of doing a live event. Let's try and refresh that. See if we can get it to work. There we go. So what this system does is it's crawled Google for particular questions that people have asked, and it's using Google's relation engine and suggestion engine to try and identify all the questions that people might ask in and around your particular topic that you've chosen. So here's a few examples. What are bookkeeping transactions? Who needs bookkeeping services? And so on. There's lots, and you can even put it in maybe a nicer format to see everything more clearly. And the reason I bring this up is if you want to create more engagement with your particular channel and you're looking at producing help content, it can be good to start with the questions you already know that people are asking and typing into Google, which are these. So this can be a good place to start. You just put in your topic and you're going to get a load of questions that people ask. It can work very well. Right, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, thanks very much, Nikki, for staying on the line. I'm going to close your mic now, but please do stay with us for the rest of the time. Okay, let's get rid of that. Right, so we looked through the Eclipse case study, just so they were using it for SEO purposes, but as you've heard from Nikki there, there's a lot of other uses for it as well, and it's just trying to get into that rhythm and trying to make things as simple as possible. I'm going to give one other small example here, but actually I'm looking for feedback. So we want to get more people to listen to our podcast. We produce lots of different types of content. We've got our monthly podcast, which is now in video as well. We do interviews as well on top of that, which are separate, just audio only recordings. We've got our email and we've got our blog. Plus we do this, IMC, and they all are slightly different formats. Now, one of the things I want to do is get more people to listen to our podcast. It's something we put out. We spend a reasonable bit of time getting it ready, and I would like more people to see it because I think there's certain things that would be useful to people in terms of what we're talking about and the information we're talking about, but also I think it's just an opportunity for us to find and reach more people who may become customers, club members, or engage with us in some way. So I'm really looking for solutions on what you think would be useful in terms of getting that podcast out there at the time. So this is currently what we've got. In fact, I'll see if I can play a video for you as well, see how that works. I don't know if the volume is affected on yours, but I will just try and mute it for the moment. So this is an example of our podcast through lots of different things to do with thing, but we often have a guest and we're talking about what's current in the news, what's topical, and all that sort of thing. We talked about Jonathan. It starts off as a podcast. We've been running it for 2 years, but we want to get more engagement. We want to get more people seeing it. So we started recording it as a video and going on YouTube on a regular basis as well. Claire edits this for us for her sins. Usually,
hello, I'm
this
Jonathan
episode
Pollinger,
wasn't too
and
bad, but a previous episode was an hour and a half long, and she managed to crunch it down to around 45 minutes.
Aspect of
Well done,
marketing,
Claire.
although obviously social media
But
links
something to
into
ponder on
other
actually
aspects
while
of
we
marketing,
continue with
but
the rest
my
of
focus is very
our
much social
IMC
media.
is
And
what would you
within
like to
that,
see on
it's
this
also
particular
very much
podcast, which is
about
outside of
training
IMC,
as
it's much
well.
more topical,
So
much
I
less
have dabbled
tutorial
with other
based.
areas like strategy and
But
social
it's
media
like,
management
what can we
in
do
the past,
to
but
get
now
more
very
people
much focused
to see
on
this
training via
show on
one-to-ones,
YouTube?
in-house
Where do you think
workshops,
we should be
and
pushing this? What
increasingly
sort of
actually
topics
via
do you think
Skype
we should
and
be covering?
tools,
I'll also give you
online.
something just to give
And
context.
I've been around for a
One
while,
of the
actually.
reasons we went for video is because I
especially
did
in social,
have
in the social
comments
media
from people
world. So
that,
this is actually
what's a
my
podcast?
my 10th.
I don't know how a podcast
Yeah, we've
works
been
or how I
going
can get them. And
similar times actually.
I think people who are not using podcasts or listening to podcasts, there's a bit of a barrier
Oh, right,
to
exactly.
move over there.
Happy
So
10th year,
we thought
John.
if you can produce it as
And to
video,
you, and
it's
to
a
you.
YouTube link.
Well,
It's a
we'll
lot
talk more about
accessible
your
to people.
business
So,
later because I've got a topic.
if you've got any thoughts on that, do let me know.
And
And if
your
you
rebound
haven't seen the
one company
podcast,
into
you
another,
really
and
should.
why you did
It's
that,
trying to
and
keep
interesting
you up to date
person
on what's
to
going
why
on.
you
We dive
went
into
down the
lots of
road
different
that you went
things.
down.
It's not
Because I think it's an
just about
interesting one.
marketing.
But first, I want
Any,
to talk about
anything
the
really that takes our
predictions.
fancy.
This is
In this
something
particular
in the
issue, I was
last
talking to
episode,
Jonathan
Alan and I
Pollinger
talked
there,
about
who's a
really
social
looking
media
at taking a few
expert
of your
in Cardiff,
predictions and talking through whether we
talking
agree
about
with you,
Facebook
what we
and why
think
I
would
don't
happen.
like it.
And I think if anyone is interested
Anyway,
in
let's move on back to the
looking
presentation
and finding out more about.
Okay. So let's look at some YouTube optimization tips. So we want to get more engagement from our visitors. What can we do? Certainly, I think the first thing, or one of the things to do, is optimize keywords. Research what people are looking for. We've already looked at Answer the Public. I think that's a really good tool for that sort of thing. It's really worthwhile, just checking into that and seeing what questions people are asking and seeing whether it's worth basing your video around that and then using that exact language in the title. Very similar rules to on-page SEO. The text you include in the title matter. So the video back here, the future of social and why Facebook is not fun to use, we could probably optimize that a bit more to actually make that more specific to a question that people are asking. It may not be relevant for the podcast, but certainly if I was producing a video talking about choosing a social media channel or how to use WordPress, then that's what we'd want to title it as. How to add a blog post to WordPress or something like that. Actually putting it as the questions people ask. Claire also says in the description link to your website, in the description, link to your website to encourage requests for quotes or to encourage people to link through. And as I said, make sure that's in the first 2 lines because then it's visible without people having to view more. Keywords and title absolutely make a huge difference. As I said, it's part of Google's search engine. It's going to be indexed a lot more quickly than a page because you're directly uploading it to YouTube. So it's going to go straight into their database very quickly. Don't be boring. Don't have lots of gaps, looking around. Just like a regular presentation, actually. Make sure the presentation has some pace to it. The video has some pace to it. It's always moving on to something interesting that you're not leaving the viewer hanging, unless that's the point. Sometimes you do want to dwell on things, but any successful video you do tend to see is slightly faster cut. Remove any boring bits. There's a video I watched which is an example of how to use iMovie. So it's a very quick overview of iMovie and how to use it and how to do some basic edits in there. And the woman who is editing it was just showing how much she cuts. And in fact, what she does to do the cuts, she uses a lot of hard cuts where she's not trying to cover the cut up. She's happy if she is here and then suddenly she's over here. It really doesn't matter. She is chopping to keep the pace. And what she does is she looks at the audio timeline that's usually running along the bottom, and she can see whenever there's a silent bit, she'll place a cut, and then she'll remove that silent bit until it goes into the next bit of her speech. And so she's able to really crunch it down and make it more pacey. A lot of people are happy with that. I think they're called jump cuts, if Claire will correct me if that's wrong. And it used to be something you didn't do, really, have a jump cut. You might cut away to something else and then cut back instead. But actually, like we said earlier, it's the audio that's important. If you can get that right, then it doesn't matter if you're cutting around too much, as long as it feels comfortable. Oh yes, so Claire's added here, create playlist. I must admit, this is not something we've done much of, but if you do have a big channel, and I know, let's see, I think one of our, Abby from Toaster Vets is on board, and we were talking recently about whether to have one channel for all of their different practices, from small animal through to farm and equine, or splitting them up into different channels. And there's pros and cons for each. But actually, it seems that even though they're quite diverse subjects, having one channel for all of them is going to get you a better results for all the videos, even if some people won't, who are looking at small animal, you know, cats and dogs and fluffy animals, aren't so interested in the equine stuff. They will work off, they will bounce off each other quite well. But that's where playlists would be very useful. You can create playlists underneath there for equine surgery videos, or small, you know, cute fluffy animals or something like that. So even if you can get people into the channel, you can still segregate that channel up into more interesting pieces for people to watch. So moving on here, watch other videos your audience might like. This is just really like reading around the subject, getting to know what people like, and maybe taking some of those tricks and tips of what they do and copying them. There's certainly no harm in doing that initially and then evolving your own style. And then also checking your retention stats. So once you've put some videos out there, seeing how well, where people drop off or what bits they do and don't find interesting, and try and make changes to that. Claire also adds, or learn what to avoid. Yes, absolutely. There's lots of videos where I've seen that I don't want to replicate that. But we are not perfect by any means. I learned video at university. It's one of the things I studied, but I haven't done it, you know, for a long time. So I have a lot of theoretical knowledge about video, but when it comes down to it, it's hard. It's really hard. And when Al and I did a 2-part video episode recording us at the Bath Digital Festival, you might just see how hard that was, because there's lighting issues, there's sound issues, but we do it. And we do it and we learn, we get better for next time. So it's certainly worth just trying, putting yourself out there and seeing what happens. And then importantly, ask for action. So making sure you've got that link in the description, making sure that you are linking to something that you want them to see or take further information, or fill out a form for action. YouTube used to have more in the ways of call to action, where you could actually put little cards over the top or highlight certain areas which were clickable. But they've removed a lot of that because it doesn't work well from mobile to desktop. So actually it's a lot more simplistic now for the moment. So just having your description in the description, having a link in the description bar is probably the best you've got, or just saying like and subscribe at the end of your video can be helpful too. So Claire's got another idea here. We've got lots of RI blogs which give tips on improving, tips and guides on improving how to film effectively. Yes, Claire, perhaps you'd like to find one of those and post that in the notes for us, and then everyone can share in those blogs. Yeah, do check out our blogs. We're going to actually relook at reorganizing that content structure, because we've got a lot of stuff there. And I really want to pull up some of that information for people just to be able to dive in and get quite simply. So just moving on, if anyone's interested, I mean, you would have met Claire, but she's just a little avatar in our chat window. But Claire, as well as working for Selmac, also is a video editor and filmographer. So she'll go out and do films. I know she's worked with Eclipse, going out to film the testimonials, and she's done some of our testimonials as well, and edits our podcast. She edited the Bath Digital event, has even produced little video, what are they called, slideshow, PowerPoint style slideshows that you create into a video. So if you're interested in any of that and getting a video shot, it's actually quite reasonable. We can do it for, you know, usually we can actually get quite a good video with just half a day of filming. We've actually, he's being blocked by the Inventive people here, but Steve Askey, one of our Inventive people, he does these great animated intros that you can use for your web videos or social videos. And he actually did one for Selmac. That's the example there. But if you go and look at the website, you can see a few of the other examples he's done. Now, I probably wouldn't have those as intros, to be honest, because that's your critical 5 or 7 seconds. But could use them as a capper for the video that goes at the end. Maybe it's something that runs for the last 10 seconds, giving people that call to action, what they want them to do. It's just getting the brand out there. It could be something that sits over the screen. But if you go to this page, you can have a look at some of those as examples. Thanks for those guides. That's great. So there's a couple of links there that'll be useful. So the floor is open. Any other questions on video? Well, we've got Claire, who is a very good filmer and editor, and me, I know a little bit about a lot in terms of how it's used. And any other questions in terms of that? Or in terms of like our podcast, is there any? I don't know. Maybe hands up. Who's listened to our podcast? Who has listened to it and found it particularly useful? Feel free to be honest if you haven't. Thank you, Nikki. I hope you have, Claire, because you edit them. So I hope you do listen to them. If you haven't, certainly worth checking them out. And Abby, thanks very much. Good to see you're catching up on those. Well, if you have any other questions, let me know. What we'll do is, yeah, Claire says she listens to the whole 1 hour, 30 minutes of excellent audio quality. Well, hopefully that was useful. It's really diving into a small amount of video. What I would really like is maybe if we can get Claire on next time, it might be good to see if we can break apart video production and just talk about that part of it, looking at how you might plan a video. Let's say you're going on site to do a customer testimonial, how you might plan it, and go through the motions through to editing and just sort of tackle that within 45 minutes. I think that could be fun. Hopefully you're up for that, Claire, if we can get your broadband to work correctly. So looking at the next topic, we've got a couple of different ideas. Getting reviews. I've already done a great presentation on that, which I did at Unicorn House in Cirencester. I think a lot of people want to see that, but they were limited on geography. Image editing, I think would be good to touch on, like basically how to prepare or produce images for the web. So how to find them, produce them, lay them out, how to go through all of that. LinkedIn Essentials. It's actually a planned presentation I'm going to be developing in person in a couple of months. I've got some dates on our event page somewhere. In fact, on that note, if you want to come and see us, if you've got actually some time available and you want to come and see us, we're doing regular events currently in Cirencester at Unicorn. We've got the next one coming up in May. But if you go to our events page, which is ratherinventive.com/events-2, don't question me on the -2, or you just search for Rather Inventive Events and have a look on there. We've got all of our events listed. I'm also hoping to do some stuff with HSBC in Swindon and some in Gloucester as well, so I can have them spread around a little bit as well. Let's see what we've got. So Nikki votes for image editing. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Let's put a poll here. Let's pop that out. One I've done earlier, hopefully. Topic for next month. Yeah, let's share that. So if you'll put your votes in, we'll see what we get. Oh, thanks for popping that in the notes there, Claire. Oh, LinkedIn Essentials. Oh, yes, LinkedIn Essentials wins. Brilliant. Okay, we'll do that for next time. Right, unless anyone has any other comments, I think we'll wrap that up for now. So thanks very much. This is on the 4th Tuesday of every month. Feel free to tell your friends and other businesses. Hold on, let me just color correct. There we go. That's a useful tip. You've got to tell people about white balancing. That will be in when we're talking about video again, Claire. So if you found this interesting, feel free to share this with anyone else, any other business owners you know. They can come on and check this out for free. It's not going to cost them anything. Just send them my way, or just invite them to the Inventive People page where they can sign up and get a free session on this event. Right, really good to speak to you. Sorry we didn't have any guests in video, but I think it went really well. I appreciate your time and look forward to seeing each and every one of you when I come and see you, or next month when we do IMC. Thanks very much, guys.